Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Calling All Creatures. I am your host, Lori, and tonight I hope you guys will find the podcast as interesting as I will. I have Lori Hood on with me tonight. She's the founder of the Alaqua Animal Refuge. I hope I said that correctly. And she's on tonight to tell us more about the refuge and why she started it, and what some of the animals are that she helps out, because she doesn't just help out the domestics, she also helps out the wildlife with the rescue. So I think you guys should enjoy this one, and I'm looking forward. Thank you for being on tonight, Lori. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So let's kind of start out with what inspired you to start Alaqua Animal Refuge back in, I guess it was, 2007?
Yes, it's actually Alaqua.
Alaqua.
And,
okay.
You're not the only one that mispronounce it. It's,
I'm so sorry.
It's a Native American name after our area, so it's a little bit tricky, but it's Alaqua Animal Refuge. And,
hey, you know what? My last name is Five Coat, and I just
oh goodness, okay,
I just screwed up a Native American name.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Sure. So back in 2007, I had just had my two children back to back, two boys, and something just came in front of me that you almost couldn't deny. You know, once you know something, you can't unknow it. I guess it was one of those situations. And long story, but we were looking for a puppy for a lady that was helping me with my kids when I was pregnant. And I went on our county website. I said, you need to adopt, and we went on the county website, and there was a little puppy, and it looked just like one she had lost. So we were excited, and I started calling about trying to get this puppy adopted for her. But that led to a very disturbing reality that the puppy had been picked up in our county, but transferred several counties away because our county was without an animal shelter or animal control facility of any kind, as was seven surrounding counties. So we were in an area of 7 counties without a shelter at all.
Wow.
And when animals were being picked up from those areas, they were being transferred to a holding facility that was not open to the public. They literally took them in, held them, and euthanized them. So we were almost at 100% euthanasia rate in 7 counties in 2007.
Wow.
And when I found that out, I had to do something about it. Like, that was totally unacceptable. And so I started Alaqua Animal Refuge to address the problem, and it just grew from there.
Wow, that's just crazy. 100% euthanasia rates of over 7 counties. I can't believe they didn't have any kind of a shelter or even collaborate together to try to build a shelter. That is just crazy. But then again, I have to think back about my own county here. I'm not even going to get into it, and we still don't have a county shelter either. And they're trying to rely on 2 little city shelters that do not have enough room.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, and it takes somebody to really advocate for that, because, a lot of these counties are rural, and they're poor counties, and, they don't even have proper health care for humans or housing for humans. So,
right.
Animals, unfortunately, fall at the very bottom of the wish list, and it's a shame. So,
I know.
Unfortunately, they depend on private shelters like mine to come in and try to be the Band-Aid.
I did animal control for 12 years. So,
oh, you did?
Yes,
wow.
I did. So I completely know. And as a matter of fact, I worked for my county.
Okay.
We have, in 2 different local municipalities. And we, as county officers, back when I was there, we were pushing for our county to build our own shelter, because we knew the stress. At that point, then they had 4 local municipality shelters that would take in animals from the county. And now it's down to 2. So, we pushed for way back years and years ago and never got done. And then just more recently, we were pushing, it's been being pushed for again. And some stuff went through, and they were actually able to acquire state grant funds to help build the shelter. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah, it would be if they'd use it. But we still haven't got a shelter, and this has been a couple years. So it's like, and then they were trying to buy a shelter, but I think because usually you when you write a grant, because I've had to write them, you have to use the money for what you specify in the grant. So, like, literally, if you specify, you probably know, with your refuge, if you write for a certain thing, that's where your money's going to have to go. Now, if you say you're going to build a, new shelter and match money to this money to do it, then that's what you got to do. You can't go out and try to build or buy something. So, yeah, it's just been one of those things. So, I don't know where we're at this point on trying to kill it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, sorry, didn't mean to get off topic, but yeah. No,
it's okay. It's okay. And, you're seeing it firsthand, and that's what's so hard. And so many people think that the animal control officers are the bad guys, but they're not. They're just, they're trying to make a difference. And, they unfortunately are the ones that have to go out and do the work that no one else wants to do. And so thank you for that. I mean, it's hard to find compassionate people that stick with that because it's so difficult to watch.
It is. It's very hard. And I actually haven't been in that field for 9 years now, but my friend still that I worked with here, she actually moved up by Phoenix and she still does it up in that area. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, we do see it firsthand, and we walk a very fine line because, we're the ones that have to try to advocate for the animals, but we're also the ones that are the ones in the end that have to take their lives,
Right.
And so, especially when people don't understand, when we have to go in and do like these felony type cases where there's been neglect and abuse and stuff, and we're taking those animals out of there, and then they get euthanized because of space or because, someone, that's crazy. It
is.
And that just kills you inside. But
it is.
It is. It's crazy. So, thank goodness we're at least trying to make strides. I mean, more people have become more proactive when it comes to, animal control and things like that. But there's still a long ways to go. Hopefully we'll get there someday.
Yes, there is. Yeah. There is a long way to go.
I know you take animals as a rescue, so I know it's crazy for you guys. So believe me, I still do. I have rescues around here. I still am involved with them and do things and help promote them and stuff like that. So yeah, I know.
Yeah, we work directly with all the sheriff's department. That was something that I immediately came upon, that started an organization, and all these animals were coming in, and there were animals coming in with horrific things that had been done to them, and found out that there had never been an animal cruelty prosecution ever in my county since the county began, and I couldn't believe that. And so I went to the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department said the state attorneys didn't take it seriously. I went to the state attorney's office, and they're like, well, they don't give us what we need to build the case. So I started teaching animal cruelty training classes, and it was amazing because these officers, it's not that they didn't want to do anything. It says they didn't know how to, what the process was. I mean, they barely touch on it when they're, learning how to be a law enforcement officer. And so we gave them the tools that they need. We taught them what the laws were. My organization comes in, and when there's a large hoarding case or a cruelty case that, involves sometimes as many as 200 animals, well, actually the largest we took was 400, but we figure out how to take those animals and do the medical work and build the case around it, even if we have to, we end up paying for it ourselves. We just put it out there, and the public has been very kind to donate to make sure we are able to take care of these animals. And, without that, it's very hard to build a case because, it's so expensive. I mean, they come in just the worst of the worst, and it takes so much to get them back. And so, that's something very near to my heart because what you just said, it's heart-wrenching to take these animals out of such a horrible place where they've lived their lives knowing, nothing but fear and, sadness. And then you want to give them the life that they deserve. So, it's tough, and it does put a strain on your organization because there's so many of them. But, we try to take every single one that we're asked to. And sometimes it's a lot.
Yeah, I understand that. I know, like I said, I see what goes on around here in our county, and we're kind of a more rural county too, and it's kind of the same thing. Everybody's kind of scattered out and around, and it's a big thing. So it would be wonderful if one day we could get the county shelter in place and have it's not going to solve the problem, obviously. I'm not saying that. It would help the smaller community shelters, obviously, because then they would just, which actually it wouldn't in a way, because I know people could, you could use the smaller city shelters for the overflow, and I'm thinking, okay, that would be within a couple days.
It would be. Because
that's just how that goes. You people don't understand this. It doesn't matter how big or how many shelters you build, they're always going to be full because of the way society is. So,
always full.
Yep. So it just will never end unless people start changing their mindsets and what they're doing. And I was talking to someone the other day, a little bit about this too, because people are always saying, spay and neuter is a very important thing. Get your pets and stuff spayed and neutered and things like that, so you're not having, the accidental litters and everything. But another important thing is if your dog gets out of your yard, go get it. Quit leaving it at the shelter and just going and getting another dog.
Ugh.
Seriously, let's quit being the throwaway society. That's the hugest thing in our society is, it got out of the yard, it's at the shelter, it'll find a new home, I'm just going to get another dog because I don't want to put effort in to going down there to pick up my dog, or maybe, having to face reprimand or a fee, which actually the shelters here, because they're so overfull all the time, a good part of the time aren't even charging fees to give your dogs back. They just want them out. Especially after like the holidays, July 4th and stuff, they don't charge to give the dogs back.
Wow. So
it's just crazy that these animals are being left in these facilities when they get out of their yards, because people, that's what they do. They just, it's okay. I don't know if that's what they're thinking, that it'll just find a new home. So they're not going to put the effort in, and instead they just...
Or they don't look.
Or they don't look.
They don't even look for it.
Yeah, they just think, maybe it'll come home on its own, and if it doesn't, that thing too. So I don't know. Anyway, so the mindset in people is what has to change before we'll be able to address the animal overpopulation problem correctly.
Agree.
So, anyway, so now that we've kind of talked a little bit about that stuff, let's kind of go back to where we were at. So you got started back in 2007 because you were helping the lady to adopt a puppy. So I'm assuming that was your moment where you kind of pushed you said, to get the refuge and everything going, and you have gone back and rescued multiple animals over time. Let's go ahead and take a look at how you would describe the refuge's mission in your own words so that the listeners out there know.
Well, we've been through many phases. Initially I was just trying to give these animals another option, and give them a chance to find a home and, be seen and that sort of thing. And then it grew into realizing that, we needed to, like what you said, change society, and create a more empathetic world for, the animals that live with us. And so I started doing field trips and trying to educate children and reach them at a younger age. And I started the refuge on about 10 acres of my own property, and I had a barn and that sort of thing, and it kind of grew into a pretty successful piece of land. I guess it was kind of mishmashed together, I guess, because it was just as we had a little bit of money or somebody donated to build something, we just added on. But we weren't able to fully get those children out. We couldn't, we wanted to reach seniors. We wanted to reach special needs. We wanted to do equine assisted therapy classes. And, we really wanted to make a difference, touching human lives as well. And so we were donated 100 acres of land down the road. And that was about 8 years ago, I guess. And as we raised the funds to build, we started building on that property. Oh, nice. And that's completely changed everything, because we're able to do those programs and really make a difference with children. It's just so important. Like, so many kids come out and they've never seen been able to touch a horse or meet a goat or see some of the animals that that they don't know anything about because they've never had the opportunity to meet or touch one. And this past year, I think we had 2,200 kids come through last year, and we're on target this year to do double that. I mean, that's just amazing. And so with all of that, we're just trying to, our main mission is just to create a more kinder and empathetic world. I mean, that's just what is the first and foremost of everything that we do. And we try to bring that into every meeting and, make sure staff and volunteers are acting in that way. And it's a challenge in today's time because, it's frustrating when you encounter certain things, but that's kind of our goal. And, if we're making a dent in it, we'll never completely get there, but it's important. And so that's kind of what we strive for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it's a great mission. A couple of the rescues around here, they're doing some of the stuff too. One of the horse rescues I know, she, does some education and stuff with the horses. She has volunteers. They come out. They literally help to work with the horses and, make sure they're, rideable and things like that for people for when they're adopted and things like that. So these guys, it's a pretty cool program that they've got going on out there. And I thought they were going to set something up for like veterans to come out and do stuff, or they already have.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
So it sounds like you kind of do the same thing, you're doing your education and stuff like that with kids and people coming out. And I'm assuming you probably have your own volunteers and stuff that come out as well and learn and help out with things, correct?
We do. We have about 700 volunteers in our system, and about 400 of them are active, on a regular basis, which is amazing. Like, we could not do it without them. It's a lot to organize and a lot of training, and you want to make sure that you've got people able to handle some of these animals that may have issues where they could get hurt if they didn't have the proper training. So it's a lot to have that many people. It's like they're basically your unpaid staff, and so it's wonderful and it's a challenge all at the same time, but we definitely could not do it without them because so many animals come through, and it's we're a nonprofit, so you can't really fully staff the way you need to, and so the volunteers are key.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know I always liked having volunteers just in my little shelter. They always helped out a bunch.
Yeah.
So would you say that what makes your refuge different from other shelters or sanctuaries is the fact that you deal with kind of both sides of the coin? You deal with domestic and wildlife as well? Because there's not too many
definitely
out there that do that.
Yeah, definitely. And the way that came about is, we were working some cruelty cases early on, and I started for just dogs and cats. And, you get to the house and, the dogs and cats are being, neglected, and there's a goat and there's a horse and there's a pig and there's all these things that, you can't leave them behind. You can't just say, well, we're just here for the dogs and the cats. So quickly we started taking in, farm animals and horses and, sometimes the quirky exotic pet, everything from hedgehogs on to, ferrets and parrots and everything else. And so we quickly, started being a rescue that took basically anything that was legal. And then, people are able to buy wildlife in pet stores here, which is just horrible.
That's crazy.
We ended up, it's crazy to me, like fox and, raccoons and skunks. And so we ended up taking in some of the ones that, they bought them. And then, even though they were raised in captivity, they're still a wild animal.
Well, yeah.
And so, so we started taking some of those, and we've developed 50 acres of our 100 acres. And the other 50 acres was set aside just for wildlife. So we're about to start working on that, and we want to help native species that are in our area, so the public can learn about, the animals that we live in our backyards and live around us, and how to peacefully coexist with them. But also, we're we're a high tourist destination. We're on the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America, whatever they call it now. And we are infiltrated with tourists, and especially in the summer season. So we have an opportunity to reach people outside of our area as well. And so that's exciting to us, because we know we can be a tourist destination and an alternative to when you get sunburned on the beach, somewhere to take your children. And it's not a zoo. It's not something that exploits animals, but a way to really, truly learn about them and hopefully learn to care about them. So, that'll pass on to future generations.
Yeah, most definitely. Considering the fact that you are doing both domestic and wildlife, so what's that kind of look like on a day-to-day kind of thing for you? I mean, do you have I'm assuming you have certain volunteers and stuff that are more skilled in some of the wildlife animals, and then some that are more towards the domestic side? Or is there certain, I know with some of the wildlife refuges I've had on, you have to have certain permits and certain training and stuff like that for some of the animals.
You definitely do, and we don't have a lot of wild animals right now, so it's not that big of an issue. Okay. As we grow, we definitely need to have the right people involved, because it's important. It's important to follow the rules and to make sure that we're setting the right example too. We're not trying to have people meet these raccoons and say, "Well, I want one." That's right. Not the goal. I mean, it's so. Yeah, so it's definitely a challenge, and it's different, and it's a challenge from the veterinary side, because even just with the amount of animals non-wild that we have, it's hard to find veterinary care for your vet that does dogs and cats knows nothing about a parrot or an right. emu or a horse. It's such right. different specialties. So that's been the biggest challenge, I think, is to make sure we have proper veterinary care and the right specialists that are in our area, because we're not a big city. It's like you said, we're rural, and that's been a real challenge, I'll be honest.
I can imagine, because if you're taking in some of those exotics, like you mentioned, the parrots and the ferrets and stuff like that, you have to have vets that know those animals and can work with them. So yeah, right. I mean, now you're looking at having an exotic vet as well as your large animal Correct. Vet for your horses and cows and stuff like yep. that, and pigs you might get. So yeah, I mean, you really kind of are running the whole gambit with your refuge there, and having to have all that stuff. So, and it's got to be a heck of a challenge for you being in a rural area to try to find, especially I would think, an exotic type vet. Yeah,
it's true. We just had there was a marine animal place here that just recently got shut down, and it was in the news, and they had dolphins and all sorts of things, and they had 2 giant African tortoises, and we already had several of those, so we were used to taking in those type animals, but they were they've always been healthy and no issues, and these tortoises had been not treated well through their lives, so their shells were not developed the way that they were supposed to. Oh, and no. We wanted to take them, and we did, but we really reached out on a national level and made sure that we were providing what they needed moving forward, because these animals live to be 100, and we wanted to do what was right by them and make sure that we were taking them and then doing exactly what they needed to thrive moving forward. So
right.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but I think I don't know, sometimes I feel like our vets are excited to research something like that, because it's different, and it's not their same day-to-day routine patients and spays and neuters, and so they do a really good job reaching out to the specialist, and I think the vet community does a great job talking with one another and making sure that they're doing the right thing for the animals.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that they're able to research and find out more and get together with other vets and stuff. That's pretty cool.
It is. I love it.
So you have 100 acres, and we've talked about some of the challenges, obviously, when it comes to like the medical care and stuff like that. But what are some of the other challenges that you guys kind of face on a basis of having that large of a refuge?
Well, we grew because there was a need there, but it's so expensive, and so I feel like almost all I do is try to figure out ways to pay for it all, because it's we don't get any state funding, we don't get any federal funding. It's 100% donations. So we have to be really creative in telling our story and making sure our needs are out there without, I hate to just constantly ask people for money. There's kind people that, give on a monthly basis, and even if it's $5 or $10, everything adds up. But it's a constant. It's a constant trying to figure out how to pay for it. And, and then people, when you are this large, there's a perception that, we can help every single animal out there in need. And, we have our cap, we can't help every animal that we're called about, and it's tough. And sometimes people get bent out of shape because they did give us $5 a month for a couple of years, and then they call and we can't take this single kitten. But it may be because we have a disease going through our shelter at the time. We take animals in from the worst situations, so it's very challenging to keep everybody healthy in our quarantine area because, they get exposed to other things that are coming in. And
right.
So we're always challenged with, the right way to say we can't help you, and, provide resources for them to be able to help the animal themselves. Or, it's a challenge. I mean, sometimes we're turning away 100+ animals a day, and that's heart-wrenching. And so, that's one of the tough things, and it's tough for our staff that have to take those calls or read those emails, or, we reached out to social media. I mean, we're just bombarded every day with, people asking us to take in animals, and we try, but you can't help them all. And I think that's really tough for people that care so much and come into this thinking that they're coming in to, make a difference and to help animals, but then they see so many that we can't. So,
right. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any local businesses or anybody that helps sponsor you guys at all?
We do. We have, we've become really good at putting on events, because that's, you put on events and it brings awareness, and you're able to get sponsors for the events, but it still it still costs you to put them on.
Yeah.
So, we get creative. We get creative.
Yeah.
You're running a business within, a refuge. So it's there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. A couple of the rescues out here, well, I see they do different things. Like, actually, one of the larger car dealerships in Tucson, they raffle a car off.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm assuming maybe they split the price of the raffle tickets. I'm not exactly sure how they work that all out. But anyway, yeah, so he'll donate a car to let them raffle, which is kind of cool. And then
Yes.
Some of the restaurants and stuff like that will, if you come in and buy, they'll donate part of the proceeds from the dinner to whatever meal you buy to the rescue or whatever. So, and then they have different wine tastings and stuff. I think they just had an adoption event at one of a wine tasting place or something. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting things that you guys come up with.
It is.
So, just kind of lighten the mood up just a little bit. Could you share a rescue story that has stayed with you or maybe really touched you?
Oh, wow.
Any certain one?
There's so many. There's just so many. I mean, everything from, we took in this one particular dog that just popped in my head. We took in a Great Pyrenees that was, neglected, and I forget where he came from, the side of the road or something. And And he ended up being adopted and becoming a service dog, and went on to just do so many amazing things. And his owner, even wrote a book about him, because it was just, this dog came from the worst situation and was turned around and became a service dog and helped people and was a greeter at the airport, and like all these really wonderful things. And there's so many stories like that. And it's funny because we've been doing this for so many years, and I don't know, what is that, 18 years ago? All that, even people that adopted puppies from me, in the very beginning, they've passed. And so you still get you get letters and pictures and stories and, about how these animals have changed their lives. And, there was one man that came early on, and he adopted this pit bull from us, and he was just the sweetest man. And he came in and he's like, I want one of the dogs nobody else wants. And this dog had been with us for a long time, and he adopted her. And he later on told me that he, had considered committing suicide. He was so depressed, and, that Alaqua and this dog literally saved his life. And, I hear from him every Christmas. He comes out and, he's adopted. He's on his third dog now from us, and always takes the one nobody, that he thinks nobody wants. There's always somebody a home for everyone if you just wait long enough. But what an amazing, you literally save someone's life with, providing them with a best friend. So those stories are the ones that, you just can't hear enough of. And, when you're having a bad day and you'll get a letter and, they're telling you, what this dog, did with them their whole lives. And it really makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It does make it more worth it. So we talked a little bit earlier about animal cruelty things and animal laws. And you obviously are involved quite a bit when it comes to animal cruelty and advocate for laws and stuff like that. What changes would you most like to see in the laws or public awareness?
Well, it just depends. Like through the years, we've changed a lot of laws. Like I've been involved in changing a lot of laws for the better for animals. The very first one we changed was we had a case with about 100 or so dogs involved, and it was a clear abuse case. Some are just, people just don't know better, but this one, they knew better. And I was so excited that the Sheriff's Department took it seriously, and the state attorneys took it very seriously, and we were moving forward. And when it came down to it, this individual was only charged with one count of animal cruelty, and there were over 100 animals in her care. Yeah. And I, what in the world? And that's the way the Florida law was written. No matter how many animals you had, yep. You can only be charged with one count. So that was one of the very first laws that I was involved with changing. I went to our representative, and he took it on, and we pushed it through. And so now it's one count per animal. So Look at what that does. That just changed, an entire state, and made it so much better for animals. So we, we're always trying to get, stiffer penalties, or, to change it from a misdemeanor to a felony for certain things. And, we chip away at it, but it's, I don't know, there's just so much, and it's so hard to change the law. Sometimes it takes years and years and years, and then it's still, they change it to the point where it wasn't originally what you were trying for, but it's a small win. So it's a lot. It takes a lot of work, and I don't think people realize just how detailed that is when you're doing something like that.
Oh yeah, it most definitely is. Yeah, I had one, and it was crazy how this even turned into a felony case. Well, I've had a couple felony cases, but the one that got picked up, it was crazy how it even turned into felony cases. She I don't even know, she had almost 40 dogs, and I got called out to do a welfare check, and it's not that the dogs were in bad shape or anything like that, or it was extremely messy, but none of them had rabies shots, none of them had their county licenses, which they had to have at the time. And I was willing to work with her on getting all of this stuff done. And I said, I understand it's expensive, and you've got a lot of dogs. So if you just take a couple at a time and, and work with me, I understand. So she didn't even attempt to do that. Instead, she decided she was going to get these rabies certificates downloaded and printed from offline, and then she was gonna forge a veterinarian's name and
oh boy
number on those documents, and she just happened to pick our state.
Not very smart.
Oh no, because the vet she chose was our state health vet.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
That was
not
even better.
Smart at all.
No, so
yeah.
So then of course, now we're going into like multiple, because I was able to prove that they weren't legal rabies documents. And she literally went into court, and my attorney, and it's funny you mentioned that about every single charge, because my attorney literally picked up every single rabies document in court and looked right at her and said, "Do you testify this is true and accurate to your knowledge?" And she said yes almost 40 times.
Oh, no.
So she also perjured herself.
Wow.
So I ended up with over 100 and some accounts against her.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and they ended up, in the end, rolling them into like 3 felony counts. And she pled out on them. But, all over not having some rabies vaccinations and county licenses. To go to that extreme that you chose the state health vet to forge.
Wow.
40 times.
Yeah.
Anyway, some
not
people
a good move.
No, not a good move. Some people aren't very smart. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so it was funny that you said because that's literally how my attorney did it. Every single one, she held it up, so it was a count for every single one.
Yeah, so, and you have to get creative sometimes. You do go like, sometimes it's a health department. There's, you can bring the health department in, or unfortunately, child services a lot, because you go in and they're neglecting animals, but then there's children involved, and it's just. It's all intermingled, so it's... Oh, yeah,
most definitely. We all know that. Mm-hmm. So, you've got to make it... You got to do what's right for the animals and for the other people that might be involved, the kids and stuff. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Right.
So, now you have mentioned that you did get, your 100 acres donated to you, and that you guys are now progressing with getting it developed and everything, for both, some for domestic, some for the wildlife side. So, what do you see kind of happening in the future for Alaqua? Do you see any more expansion maybe down the road? Are you guys going to try to hold it, to what you have now and call it good? What do you kind of see going on?
Well, if we build out the wildlife side the way we want it to, it's going to be a multi-year project, because I would like to get into some specialized endangered species recovery work and, some really important work like that. So I think it's going to take us a while to get there, but if I could close my eyes and see it completed, I see this place where, it's a destination for animal lovers from all over the world, and it's a place where, you can come and learn how to do all of what we do, part of what we do. I feel like the more we empower other people to learn from us and learn from my mistakes and my, wins, that, if we can help them help animals where they live, we all win. So I see it as a huge, educational facility for other shelters, like I said, and other nonprofits, but also to bring the community together and get behind, helping animals of all kinds. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the country, I was told. So development is going off the charts. I mean, every time I drive down the road, these huge plots of woods are being clear cut and buildings going up on them. So we're driving so many of our wild animals out of their homes, and so it's so important for us to understand that they deserve to be here too. And it's tough. I've found that it's tougher for people to come and step on board, to help wild animals, because they just don't they don't really know them, or they don't really understand the plot. And, most people have had a dog or a cat and, can understand that we need to save them. But, we need to save the planet. I hate to say it, but we do. It's, there's just so much going on in this world that, you would hate for your grandchildren to not know a species because you let it go extinct on your watch. So it's a big vision and a lot of work to do, but I think if we can be a small part of that and empower other people to do the same work, that would be something that would be a success in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think some people would say, well, how can they go extinct? We can clone now. Look what we just did. We brought dire wolves back. Okay, and you're talking about now dinosaurs. Are you people out your minds?
I know. No, I know. And they're going to do it. I mean, I don't know.
Why do we keep making these movies and then having people go out and actually do what the movie was about?
I know. It's true, though.
It is true.
Look how much money that takes, and I don't know. If you can just... But, even if you did bring them back, their ecosystems that they need to thrive are gone. So, I mean, I don't know. It's I don't know. I feel like we need to protect the wild spaces that we have now.
They'd have plenty to eat.
Yeah. I was just out in Yellowstone. I was at a conference in Grand Tetons, which is an amazing place, and right in the Grand Teton National Park. And it was the end of the season, and I was there when the government shutdown first started. So it was crazy because we went in one day and, there were rangers everywhere, and, I saw a grizzly and he's trying to cross the road, and there's, 50 cars with, they're trying to figure out a way for this poor bear just to cross the road. And the rangers were there and making sure he crossed safely and all of that. But the very next day, the shutdown happened and the gates were open, but there were no rangers. There were no people, helping the animals. And I was really scared for them because, some of these people don't think. I mean, they're out trying to pet a buffalo. I mean, really, they were. And I just thought, and it was sad because, I went online and people know these bears by number or the wolves by number. There's only a few hundred, and that's supposed to be one of the last wild species left. And so it was a humbling experience. I'm glad I got to see some of those animals, but it was sad because they're basically in a big zoo, and it just... I don't know. It was sad for me because the reality that, there's not that many of them left, was first and foremost in my mind, and I saw it, and I don't know. It was sad.
It's funny. I had Professor Philip Urso on the podcast with me, and he is the assistant professor of bison studies at South Dakota State U.
Oh, wow.
And so we were talking, I couldn't help it because I see all these crazy people out there trying to pet the bison, and it's like, quit it. Just quit it.
Yeah.
They're 2,200
pound. And I should have said bison,
animals.
not buffalo. I know. I meant to say bison. I called them the wrong name.
Oh, no, that's okay. But, I mean, a lot of people, they do, bison and buffalo do look quite a bit alike. But, yeah, it was just too funny because we literally talked about that stuff because I had to mention it because I've seen so much of it. I'm like... And I, like we said, I said the woman was literally trying to shove her child up there to get a picture with it, and I'm like,
I know.
Are you stupid?
I know.
They're not pet animals.
The same with bears. Like they feed the bears, and then they, scratch a human, and then they kill the bear, and it's like, come on. I mean, just I don't know. I just hate it.
Yeah, I know. We have the people around here that like to feed. And it's so funny because they don't put two and two together. So they'll feed the small wildlife, like the squirrels and you know that kind of stuff, which brings in, of course, other wildlife like skunks.
Right.
But then now you got the predators also coming in because you're providing them with a smorgasbord of small animals.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that they're the ones that drew the mountain lion or the bobcat into their yard.
I know.
That's what kills me. It's like, are you people, you really? I just don't even know. I think they get dumber every year.
Agree.
I just can't help it.
I agree.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway. Okay, so for our listeners out there, if they would like to try and help support you guys' mission, no matter where they may be at, How can they help you guys out? How can they find your website to go donate if you can do it through there, or what can they do to help you guys?
Well, our website is www.alaqua.org, and it's ALAQUA.org. So there's all sorts of information there, and there's a ways to help button, which there's everything from donating money to sponsoring beds and food, and Amazon wish list, and even donating cars. Anything that you no longer want. We're like really good at taking free to good home things, even if they're buildings. It's funny, but and then we would we would love for people to come visit us. I mean, we're a beautiful area, and our facility is very welcoming, and you can come and learn more about it. You can come volunteer. There's lots of ways to help, and follow us on social media. We have great social media channels with all of our fun animal stories, and it's just a uplifting thing to watch all of the good work that we do.
And you guys are located in Florida, on that side of the Gulf, right?
We are. We're in Northwest Florida, so we're in the Florida Panhandle, which is kind of up to the northwest side of Florida. So it's
right.
It's still it's still got some of that wild Florida feel to it. There's all kinds of things to do other than the beach. There's natural springs and rivers and trails, and it's a beautiful part of the country.
Good. You guys haven't. I have to ask, because I watch my shows. You guys haven't had any problems with any of the boas and stuff that Florida's been having the issues with, have you, up in your area?
No, it gets cold here, so they're not able to make it through the winter.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I know people. I love to watch different shows. I watch the Swamp People, Serpent. They go out and are catching these snakes to try to save the wildlife and the ecosystem. So they were saying that they're starting. It looks like they're starting to adapt to the cold more because they're starting to move further north. They are. So that's why I was wondering.
They're moving further north. Yeah, they're not to us yet, but I mean they're reproducing at just an unprecedented rate.
God,
and
I know.
It's scary because they've developed some of the newer ones, newer strains. I don't know if that's the proper word for it, but they're becoming a little more aggressive as well. And so it's
they were saying that there's two different varieties of boa out there that have been now mating, and they're combining, and it's making them more aggressive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy. I know.
I know, and then those females can lay 40, 50 eggs a piece, and that's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. Well, hopefully they don't adapt enough to where they'll finally be able to get really far north, and maybe they'll...
I know. Who knows?
Oh, my goodness. What do you do? Mm-hmm. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up the show. So if you, for one last thing, if you could leave the listeners with, say, one message about animals and second chances, what would that be?
Wow. I just say support your local organizations. Everyone's doing such hard work, and, they need your support. They need your volunteer hours. They need, you to bring awareness to what the hard work that they're doing. So I think you can do something in your own community, and it just really makes a difference. So I just encourage all the viewers to just learn more about it and be part of the solution, not the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And it really does take a village when you've got to get things done. So, if you guys, are like Lori and you don't feel that your animal laws are up to par and where they should be, start contacting your representatives and stuff, and your local or your county or your state, whichever, and start letting them know you're not happy with these laws. You want things changed. You want stiffer penalties for animal abuse and cruelty.
Right.
Things like that.
Right.
But if you guys don't speak up and talk, it's not going to happen. That's the worst part. So, all right. Well, Lori, I really appreciate you being on tonight and filling us in on Alaqua and your guys' mission and everything that you do over there. It sounds like it's pretty cool. And if I ever get back over, because I'm in Arizona, but if I ever make it back over to that side, I might have to stop down in there and see you guys and check out the refuge. I know there's a lot of
We
places.
would love it.
I know, and there's a lot of places I'd love to go after doing these podcasts. And there's actually the chimpanzee sanctuary rescues down there as well in lower southern Florida, I think, if I remember right.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Central.
Yeah, I'd love to go see, they ran the podcast and we talked about chimps and stuff. So.
Wonderful. Well, come see us all.
I know. I'm just going to have to make this round trip. Maybe one day if I ever get to retire, it would be great. But you got to have the money to do those things. So I got to keep working right now.
I understand. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great talking with you and learning more. And right now, I'm just going to go ahead and announce my next couple upcoming podcasts. You're welcome to stay on if you like, but I know most people would like to get going and doing things, especially when it's later their time. So you're welcome to jump off and not listen in if you don't want.
Well, thank you. You have a blessed day.
All right. Thanks. You have a great day, too.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. So Lori just jumped off. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed that podcast. It was great. I thought it was a really good conversation. I had a great time, obviously, talking with her about some of the animal stuff because we have a bit in common there. But we also learned quite a bit about Alaqua and what they do. So if you guys are ever in the Florida area, go by and check them out. If you want to help them out, go check out their website. I will be putting a link to the website on my Facebook page for the podcast as well, like I do for everybody. So yeah, go check them out, guys, and give them a hand. What they're doing is great stuff. So for the next podcast, actually I'm going to be off for the next couple weeks because the next podcast would have actually been on Thanksgiving Day, the 27th. And I'm not going to be doing my podcast on Thanksgiving Day because, like most of you, I'm going to be enjoying a turkey dinner and I am going to be as stuffed as that turkey when I'm done, and I'm not going to want to be doing a podcast and talking. So I will be off for the rest of this month, and then I will be back on December 4th. And on that Thursday, I am going to have Jennifer Catpur on with me. Yes, that is her name. And I know I love it. And she is going to be talking with us about happy feline homes. So if you guys are kitty cat owners, you might want to tune in and listen to this podcast because Jennifer is going to be talking about how we can help make our felines more happy in their homes and maybe do away with some of those issues that you may be having. Say if you're having, any kind of wars between your cats for maybe litter boxes or space and things like that. So tune in on December 4th and listen to Jennifer give us some tips on how to make our felines happy. And then I am going to have December 18th, I'm going to have Lauren Anders Brown as my guest. She's going to be talking about Pads Pass. And this is about pet travel, or pets and traveling, I should say, not just pet travel, but when we have to travel with our pets, a lot of us don't understand or know about some of the requirements that are in place when we want to travel with our pets, especially if we're going internationally. And you guys, Lauren has endured all this grueling pet travel stuff, and she has some pretty good tips that she's willing to give out to help you guys maybe prepare yourselves when you have to travel with your pets. And I will say, a lot of the things have to do with international quarantines and stuff like that, but also Hawaii, because Hawaii doesn't really have rabies over there ever. There's a lot of requirements that have to be met for you to take your pets to Hawaii as well. So if you guys are ever planning to travel with any of your pets and you would like some great tips on what to do to get ready for that travel, then you might want to go ahead and tune in on December 18th and listen to my discussion with Lauren about Pads Pass and travel with your pets. And then after that, guys, I will be off until the beginning of the new year. The next podcast won't be until January 8th. So I'll have a couple weeks off after the Pads Pass podcast. And then I'll be back with some new ones. But anyway, So hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast tonight, like I hope you all did. And again, don't forget to come back on December 4th if you're a kitty owner, or even if you would like more tips on how to make your feline happy in its home. And then on December 18th to listen to me and Lauren talk about Pads Pass and pet travel, and how you can hopefully get yourselves ready for that kind of grueling situation, because it can be quite harrowing from my understanding. But with that, everybody, I am glad you all tuned in, and hopefully you'll be back to listen in for the next podcast. And I hope you all stay safe out there, and I hope you all have a really great weekend coming up. And I hope you all have a very, very good Thanksgiving Day, because obviously I won't be back on before Thanksgiving. So I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy watching the Macy's Day Parade or whatever you watch, and the football, and enjoy having dinner with your families and just being together, everybody. That's what it's about. So, all right. And I'll be back with you guys soon. Bye now.